Okay, I guess we're just live right away. So what's up, everybody? Hey, we're on time! Holy crap! It's the first time that's happened, I think, since the Ruwin era started. It's fine. So we have the ESEA episode. I was thinking about it today. That I think this is the first time we've had the same two guests back for a show. So that's interesting. First time.
Okay.
Plenty of stuff to talk about. We have a thread that's still open that both Ruwin and I are looking at right now on TFTV. If you want to be linked, you want to ask a question for both or for either or both Killing and Kalkin, that is a place to do so. Let me introduce, of course, Mr. Ruwin, who's always the best. Joining me, what's up, man?
Yo, cbear, you know what I'm saying? Well, it's been a nice 2 weeks. I think we got some interesting stuff to talk about. Having the ESEA boys on FC is always nice. We can talk about some things, maybe some questions people have. We got that big thread that you just talked about. I think I got some questions, already.
I hope you do, because like I said earlier, I'm really tired. So Ruwin is going to be doing heavy lifting like he's playing TF2. He'll just be carrying team fully charged today. That's fine. So why don't we introduce our guests and then get right into it, so we have plenty to talk about. So let's go with the newer of the two admins. I think you guys combined have like 8 years of ESEA adminning at this point, which is kind of scary.
Yeah.
But most of it's
Definitely
from Killings.
Okay.
Let's start with Kalkin, who literally biked here like minutes ago in that suit.
In a full suit.
Must have looked pretty silly, but also kind of awesome. So what's up, Kalkin? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's just like, so it's end of session at the California legislature, so all hell has broken loose in the past couple weeks. So I'm like busy around the clock. So that's sort of my life at the moment. It's really fun. And then when we have like ESEA finals drama and DDoSing, like, oh my god. But, so it's all just sort of broken loose, but whatever. Like, it's all fun and games.
Sorry, and you get me like messaging you on your phone, like, where the hell are you? You're like dodging through traffic, reading your phone.
I was texting him. I was riding like no hands on my bike, and I'm just like, I'm texting while biking. I'm gonna get run over.
I felt like I didn't even think about it. I was like 8 messages later. I was like, he's got to read every one of these, and he's biking. Like, I'm gonna just stop, hope that he doesn't get hit by like a pickup truck. That'd be fine. Joining him is I think the most raged upon person in the history of our game, continually and always, historically.
I don't know, man.
Chances are, if you played this game, you've gotten mad in Steam chat at least once at this guy. It's Killing in the name. What's up?
Yo, what's up? I don't know, unlike Carson, I'm making no money and I'm stuck at university, so that's fun.
Stuck? Making no money?
Yeah, I'm stuck. Okay, making a semblance of some money.
All right.
Well, it's better than no money.
Definitely better than no money.
I mean, we can hop right into it unless you have. Let's talk about what's going on. Let's talk about the haps.
Yeah, I've been so out of the loop. Though the biggest thing that I can tell, rosters are still kind of forming. The big news, HRG is one of their core members is out, and I don't actually know what the hell's going on with them. But Tag is out, so there's a lot of talk about.
He got tagged out.
He did. I think he
will be tagged in.
But he left, right? Ruwin. He didn't get cut. He was just like,
no, he was not cut. Okay. To my knowledge. So, I don't know, dude. I don't know what happens under wraps anymore. There's some crazy stuff under wraps, under the sheets, I should say.
When DJC is not up to date on his invite gossip, like I'll sign on and then I'll message him and be like, just fill me in, and he'll write like 10 messages, and I'm like, okay, good. I actually know something.
You need your fill of TF2 tabloid action.
I am woefully under, like, I don't know anything. But I guess one thing that's come up is Banny might be going back to demo, and RR would be going to roamer. I watched a little bit of RR's stream, like, I guess it was like a week ago, and he did not do well in that particular scrim against, I think it was Mix-Up, where he just seemed like they were able to get him a lot, and I don't know. I don't feel like Banny and some of the other HRG members would like be able to handle a whole season of a demo dying too much or something. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but either way, I don't know. Stay tuned. I guess we'll figure out pretty soon who the 6th is. Is there any inklings? Anyone in the call who knows more than I do?
Confidentiality, yo. Can't just tell every secret that I know.
Big killing.
It's true, man. I have to know about invite rosters for making invites.
He knows
so
everything.
Not a lot of saying.
He is the Illuminati. He's the headmaster.
I might know, but I don't know.
Okay, well, all right. Well, I guess we'll just leave it at that. All right, so Mix-Up We kind of talked about what they might be. I guess a harder 6, but still, I guess not set in stone is so shockingly.
I think it is set in stone.
So it's hard.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, Platt and Tyler. I guess Tyler would be roaming in that situation. Platt pocketing. Siegel on demo. So the 3 best soldiers, possibly. I mean, in North American history. I guess you could put like Reptile in there somewhere. That'd be pretty funny if he like just played medic for that. Harblue on medic, which interesting because he got cut on last episode of Fully Charged. How the invite
he got cut
dropped
on our episode,
but like he was
it's like Survivor,
right? Whatever.
We just,
and then Squid is the other scout, so that's a pretty good team. Thoughts? Anyone? Is that
Squid's a cool guy. I
Canadian's a
remember
cool
like
guy.
he came to like ETS land like 2 years ago or something. He was kind of weird and bad, and I was like, "Why are you bad?" But now he's like much better than me. So props to him.
that seems to happen a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
Where-
people seem to be better than me all the time now. So I don't know.
You used to be the greatest.
I used to be good.
I don't know
Not so
what
much
happened.
anymore.
Playing too much pool, I guess.
StarCraft,
MG.
Dota.
Oh yeah, StarCraft. Yep.
Okay, so that's all the news I have. I don't know if you guys have any other
Oh,
news,
shit.
but parlaying that into sort of the first actual ESEA topic is it seems like there's a lack of teams right now. I mean, I guess Killing, you know how many teams there are. Both of you guys know how many teams there are. Is there like enough teams with main being introduced? Is there like a rush to promote teams to fill the 9 places? Because from my count, we at like 5 actual established teams like a week before the deadline. Is that about right?
I mean, we always have enough teams. There's always plenty of teams that want to give invite a go. So it's like just who gives the shot. Obviously, I always want to have like top 9 teams be invite. And there's also a couple of invite teams that I'm going to allow to off class in main, just because main will be such a high skill level that we're going to like be trying it out kind of thing, see how it goes. So I mean, I think numbers will be pretty good. Main's going to be obviously kind of small for the first season, but I think it's better that way. If the skills
Are we looking at what, like 8 or?
Oh no,
9?
I was thinking more like 10 to 12 for main,
Okay.
and then 9 for invite. So
It's
You-
respectable.
You said that you were the one who's making that call. So like,
call. Well, I mean,
like, are you guys? I guess Kalkin has no say in it. So you guys are kind of powwow and say, okay, we're gonna do an 8 team or a 10 team or whatever for me.
Well, no. There's also like suggestions from like the higher ups on like how they don't want such a small main. You don't really don't want main to be smaller than invite. Then it's kind of like weird. It should go like like a pyramid. So you have the biggest at the bottom, and then so on and so forth. So definitely want bigger than invite. I mean, yeah, bigger than invite.
Makes sense. What about the fees? Now that's my big question as far as team signing up. For all of you guys who don't know, invite. I guess if you go with the pyramid scheme, the higher you go up, the more expensive the actual fee is. The invite players don't have to pay for their monthly premium. I think main and everybody else obviously still does, unless you get the magical Killing touch of love and get a free premium code or 2, like you used to do for everybody. Do you know what the pay scale is going to be for intermediate into main into invite this season?
I believe intermediate and open and invite will be the same. I'm not quite sure what the main numbers are. I have it somewhere in an email far away, so I'll look through it. But I mean, yeah, it should stay the same. So I think it was like $8 for opens, $12.95 or something for IM, and then invite was $40 or $50.
It's like an infomercial thing. It's like, play an intermediate now for $12.95. By the way, it's
It's a good
funny.
deal.
I love it when we have people on Fully Charged whose webcam freeze. Kalkin, you're still with us, right?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah.
you. You're fine.
Okay, because
Just-
my webcam is like screwing up. I don't know.
it's not the worst face that we've had. I've had people who
Okay.
freeze like, and it's pretty funny. So yeah, feel free to screen capture Kalkin, like the stoic stone face Kalkin.
Here, I have it. So yeah, it's $7.95 for open, $12 for intermediate, $15 for main, and then $50 for invite. If they don't change it from last season, and I have no say in that, so should be that though.
Okay.
Just if I could comment on the main thing, I think 10 to 12 teams is pretty. I'd say that's good.
Are there that many good teams?
I mean, they can just move up the best teams in IM, and then it just spread it out. Make IM the new high open, and make main the new mid high IM, and you just make it so that people are playing closer together. So because IM ended up being a role between like the top 5-6 teams and 20, 30 teams, or sorry, like 25 teams that couldn't really compete.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it just helps. There's no way it doesn't help, and those teams will play each other, and as long as they can play each other like twice, and there's not like 3 times, just because of the lack of teams, I guess, but it's not bad. Then it should be, I think, good, and it should only really help, and then those people get better, and then they move up to Invite, and they stay together an extra season, hopefully, because they're not getting like stomped in Invite. It's a stepping stone.
Right.
Yep.
Is that
I agree with it.
Is that sort of what you guys are? Is that
Yeah,
the plan with Maine?
obviously. I mean, it hopes that, like, you know, Maine should hopefully stabilize all the other divisions as well, right? Because IM becomes easier, so the skill bit gap is a lot closer, and same thing with Open. So, you know, we'll see how it works out.
Okay. Okay, I guess this is it relates pretty well to like the actual talk of main, intermediate, and stuff. So, one of the big areas of contention of ESEA always, and again right now, because there's a couple teams that the Bud Squad and others who are, I guess right now, still slotted to be an open. Could you clarify to our wonderful viewers what exactly goes into a team? Where is it possible for a team to be reformed and just go right into main or right into intermediate, or do they have to go through open, or is it just your guys' call?
Okay, I guess. So pretty much, I don't know. Wait, is Carson still here?
Oh,
I'm working on it.
Okay. Okay. Well, while you're working on it, so pretty much, I think it's kind of simple. So pretty much, you can't be directly moved into a division above open except for invite, because invite's invite. But the thing is that I can also start moving down teams, which is what I'm going to be doing with a couple of the invite teams. So you have a couple of guys, but obviously if I move down teams, they still have to maintain the hijack rule, right? Which is 2 players for 3 of the first 4 matches. So you can't just go grab any invite roster and then, you know, try and play main. It obviously has to work out with the hijack rule, or I'm not going to put you there in the first place. But regarding like Bud Squad and those other teams, there's nothing I can do about it. Like, I guess the system's kind of built like I guess a bit for CS, because you know you don't really switch classes in that, so there's no reason. But also, I find like the teams are just a little bit less stable in TF2. So since teams die a lot more, it creates all these like kind of stronger teams in open, which is obviously a problem. But I don't think that like just putting each person in IM and main will be like such a good idea, because if anything, that creates less roster stability, just because people are going to be like, oh, well, you know, we're in main now, but fuck it, let's die, and Killing will put us in main again, you know?
right.
So I think there's some strong points to it and some weaker points to it, but right now you have to have a roster to be put in. There's no direct invites.
Okay, makes sense. I mean, I feel like it still sucks with all these like new slots opened up in intermediate and main to take a team that's obviously better than you know, would be a favorite right out of the gate for open, just to say, well, you have to play in open because you don't have a roster. But I guess, I mean, for all the people who've complained about it, you're following the rules of ESEA. So you take like the Bud Squad, you can't just move them up to IM because they ask politely. You have to go through the actual rules. Like, you can't make the Killing executive decision where you're like, oh, you are now intermediate. Here you go.
No, I don't have that.
I like that Kalkin's thing is now that. Is he still in the call? I don't know. He's going through like this phase of different things.
I don't know what's going on with my internet, so I might be dropping in and out, but I can hear you guys at least. So
I mean, you don't sound laggy at all. There's no roboting.
No, something's wrong with my internet because everything else is lagging. I don't know why Skype isn't.
Okay, well, Kalkin doing his best blank impression right there in that picture.
I stuck with picture.
Okay, so that's sort of all the. I mean, Ruwin, is there anything else about that stuff before we get into like the quick fix and item ban, which has been I guess the bigger drama piece, the thing we talk about? I don't know if I missed anything. Or anything that you want to.
I guess. Well, I think there's some questions that people have, not only in Invite but in other leagues, that are wondering, what are you guys going to do? Because you kind of touched on it a little bit, cbear. But what are you guys going to do if there are only 4 or 5 teams in Invite? And like people don't want to go from main, or like what's going to happen? Like, how are you going to fill those spots? Is it 9? I don't even remember if it's 9. Or are you guys going with 10? Or
I mean, there's plenty. It's 9. It's 9 teams for sure. And I mean, there's plenty of scenarios that end with like ESEA exploding. One of them being everybody says I don't want to play an invite, which results in me having to kill every single team in ESEA. But like, there's always going to be, there's enough teams currently playing in TF2 that there's always going to be 9 teams that want to play at the highest level, So
Are there though? I mean, that's kind of the
there
thing.
are. I have 9 teams ready to go. I have more than 9 teams that actually want to play invite, and that's after like all those teams died and stuff like that. So I mean, I don't really see it being a problem right now. And then plus take into those invite teams that are going to be off classing in main, that will also help bring up the numbers in main, which should make everything okay, I think.
Okay. Well, I guess my follow-up question would then be, are those teams are probably teams that would be in main then, I guess. I know that the Fracture guy wants his team in there. He's made that very clear. There's one team with like SS and guys, and I don't know, there's all these teams that like broke up, or like 3 people left, joined a different team, like all over IM that were at the top of IM, and they might want to get into invited, and they're probably going to, I would assume, because I think I know all the teams that are playing an invite, except for those ones that you contacted saying, hey, you guys, invite, bear. So, well, I'll assume that's the case then, unless there's some teams I don't know about, you know what I'm saying? So,
it's possible.
we can move on to weapons.
Okay,
bans.
so obviously the big drama point the last couple months involving, well, there's a few things. I actually kind of forgot. Do you want to go quick fix first, or kind of talk about these kind of comedy of errors that were the IM and Open finals? Well, we got to talk about both, and then Europe, ESEA EU, then get into the viewer questions. So where do you want to start with those 3? Let's
do the ESEA Europe first.
Okay. So how did that come to happen? There's not a lot of teams signed up right now. Are you guys worried about that, or is it one of those kind of build upon itself type deals, or what?
I'm not as involved in Europe. Like, I kind of want to stay away from it because I'm kind of like a control freak as is. So if I get too involved, then I'm going to spend too much time in Europe, and I don't really want to neglect like NA, as well as I have like plenty of other things like university and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But from what I've heard, like they're kind of aiming for around 20 teams, which is a good start. I mean, the first season of TF2 in North America was 20 teams. So I think that's a fair start. I would hope that there's more than 20 teams. But Sonny I think he's more than capable of doing a really, really good job in Europe. So, I mean, that's why we hired him. So I'm sure he'll do his best, and I'm sure that will bring really good results.
Okay. I mean, I'm not really sure. Like, I actually expected, just by the response that I saw on the forums, that people were like, finally a real league in Europe. I mean, ETF2L has been the main league forever, and I mean, they do a great job, but ESEA has like actual prizes, and I don't know, maybe the chance, if there's a lot of success, to maybe send the top European team to Dallas, Texas to compete.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but I feel like there should be more teams. I mean, like, I'm surprised that there isn't like a 30, 40, but I guess if it's one big division, you have a lot of teams, like Division 3, 4 teams are like, I don't really want to play against.
Yeah, I agree. I think there seems to be like a lot of, it was kind of like the same thing when starting, I would assume. I mean, I wasn't there at the start of ESEA and TF2, but I was pretty close to it, like a few seasons in. There seems to be like a lot of negativity towards paying for the league when ETF2L is like already so established. They don't really see the reason of paying for a league when there's already a free one, which is like understandable. And as ESEA continues to prove itself and what it means to the community, I'm sure more teams will join. Along with the fact that right now we're only going to be hosting an open division, which means that all the top teams are going to be lumped in with the open teams. So, I mean, I would kind of hope that just to show support and to show ESEA that, ESEA Europe TF2 really wants to like stay, that they'd start signing up. But, if that's not the case, we're not looking for instant results. We're just looking for, a strong start.
Makes sense. I played in the first season of North American ESEA because I'm a million years old, and that was actually awesome. I played a playoff game versus like the best North American team ever. We got 5-0'd quickly, but it was still like for a team that, I mean, like, we could never play those guys in like a scrim or something. Would never scrim us or play us. So I don't know. I think it's actually a pretty cool opportunity for mid-range teams to get some top level experience. So sign up, damn it. I'm sending Ruwin after you. Punch you.
Yeah.
Get him. Okay, so then let's talk about the intermediate and open finals. Why don't we start with intermediate, since some things happened that people have commented on in the thread and otherwise.
Since I haven't had much of a time to talk, I'll take it away for this one.
You want to explain to people what happened? They did here.
Intermediate and open were a complete and total nightmare. It was probably the worst possible scenario in both cases. So what happened in open is, and it's really unfortunate what happened in open, to be honest. So basically, the truth is there's somebody in the TF2 community that has some sort of grudge against somebody, maybe ESEA, maybe even just particularly Crespi, and they were targeting open finals. Not only were they targeting open finals, they DDoSed me, they DDoSed Blank. So they were targeting casters, they were targeting the admin. They ended up targeting Crespi specifically. So it was really hard to get that going.
Isn't it kind of scary that, I mean, I guess we don't know it's one kid or one person, but...
So we've had this in the past, and
Right.
what it ended up being was usually when somebody's DDoSing, I'll be frank with you, they are a teenager, they're usually under the age of 18, they've stolen their mom's credit card, they're paying for some sort of web service on some sort of like cracker forum somewhere because they're a little immature kid and they don't know what to do. TF2 is the biggest thing in the world
Pandora's
for them.
box has been opened.
Like, come on,
man,
no,
it's like-
no, I mean, let's be
TF2's
serious. Just
dead.
DDoS me. If you're some little kid and you're really gonna get mad because
Call
I say
outs.
you're pathetic and you have no life
man.
whatsoever, if you're gonna DDoS, like, go ahead, DDoS me right now. My internet's bad enough.
Yeah.
But let's be serious. Let's be serious here. Anybody who's actually mature isn't gonna do this. Last time it was some 13-year-old kid who was living in Canada, and we ended up basically trying to call his parents to tattletale on him. We had it locked down. We knew what school he went to. So like that's the sort of level of investigation that we ended up getting to. Like I'm not even kidding.
I know,
Like,
I remember hearing about it.
so I'm just saying, like it's sort of sad that
Yes.
the TF2 community has to deal with this, but what we, as a matter of principle and as a matter of the rules, we don't allow games to be played off client. Now, in 2 cases here, that happened. That is an absolute breach of the rules. I nearly lost my job. And that's not going to be happening going forward. In this particular instance, it was pretty much the only thing I could do given the time constraints. People were moving to college. People were moving. It was better to at least have a game played than no game whatsoever. But that's not going to happen going forward. We're trying to work on some creative countermeasures for DDoSing in the future.
Is there one, though? That's the question I want to ask.
There are a couple, but when it comes to like really large scale DDoS, there's nothing you can entirely do other than some other things we're trying to implement now. But it's hard. Like, and even the best companies in the world have problems dealing with DDoSes. So we're working on solutions, but regardless, that's not something I want to do going forward because I'm sure the community doesn't want to see me fired. I don't want to get fired. And it was my call to do that. It was my call to say, okay, fine, we'll play off client, whatever. But that is a total issue. If we do something like that, it's totally open to abuse. You never know what's going on an actual player server. It could be a 0-second delay on the source TV. They could be easily spying and cheating. You know, you have no.
Okay, but
yeah.
So what the ruling then? You guys just let the team. So for if you miss sort of the actual explanation of what happened. So IM Finals was trying to be played on the ESEA server, but actually I don't think there was no DDoSing that night. It was just
in that
there was
case,
an
there was
update.
right. The servers
update.
just weren't ready. Right. So
There was a server update, and I was told by the IM teams that basically somebody was moving, and they weren't going to have internet for like another 2 weeks because they were across the nation. And I just said, okay, fine, judgment call. We're going to do this, get it played, rather than you just have to forfeit.
But so you gave him. Well, I kind of thought it was one of those like, well, F it, we'll just play on our server, and then whoever wins will get the forfeit win. And
I told them basically like no, but like it's gonna happen, and I'd rather there be a game played. I got in a lot of trouble. I got in a lot of trouble for both IM and Open Finals. So
really,
yes, I got in a huge amount of trouble for this, and so I don't want.
Wait, you got in trouble for the open?
No, for
stuff?
both open and intermediate because we played those games off client.
Oh, you played both?
Yes,
did they like know the circumstances? They're just mad because like they wanted you to be
as just a matter of policy in general. We don't.
Well, that's a little silly, I think. I mean, in regards to the DDoSing, I mean the update thing, but the DDoSing, it's like it's unplayable on the servers. Like, what, deal with it? Because you're the only league. I think that would be the problem.
We would try and move it forward, play on another day, or find another solution. Teams would stress to me that there's no other day they can play. It's really complicated. Yes, these exceptions were made, no, we're not going to make them in the future. I can't stress that enough. So that's just sort of what happened, unfortunately.
Okay, so
Okay. Yeah, I'm not asking you to do that again. I don't want anyone to lose their job. I just want people, because I played TF2 in ESEA for a while, and getting things scheduled and
It's a nightmare.
everything. It is a nightmare for us, and then when things don't go right, it's a nightmare for you guys. And
and for just when I was trying to reschedule the first night of when Open was getting DDoS, they started DDoSing me. I had to do that from my phone on Steam because I couldn't connect to the internet.
while riding the bike.
Yeah, so while riding the bike. So it's always a hassle. We're trying to find ways to improve it in the future.
Are you really though? Is that just like the lip service? Like, is there something that I mean, I don't know anything about the technology, but like how Killing said, like, what can you actually do? And it's kind of scary that whatever Kalkin said, some nerdy Canadian kid can bring down the entirety of ESEA. You can just like flip a switch and it's like, no, you're not playing tonight, idiots.
We've thought of some creative solutions that we think could work, but we can't talk about them because then the cat's out of the bag. So, security through obfuscation, basically. All
right, so Brad in this thread, I remember he posted something just basically about piggybacking off this point. So you guys, they ended up playing off client for the IM finals, an awesome 5-0 game. Did I cast that shit? No, I was sitting in. That was the Sesco. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Brad and I think other people are wondering: is this going to open up the floodgates? Where say it's Wednesday night, update comes out, ESEA isn't ready. It's happened a million times in the last since ESEA TF2 started. Will they just look to each other? It's like, okay, well shit, I have an NFO server. Let's just play on our server. We'll give the source TV out to TFTV or whatever it's being casted, and then we'll just do the forfeit win. Is that? Like, you're saying that can't happen in the future? Like, you won't allow that result? Like, this is just a one-time thing? Or is there something that you guys can do to stop it in the future where you can just say, no, you can't do that. You have to play on ESEA?
Oh, so if that ends up happening in the future and somebody's like, okay, we're going to play off client, we're just going to forfeit, yes, I'm going to dick slap you. Because I'm going to get in trouble for it if I don't. I will probably just ban players. Frankly, I will overturn pitches, I will ban players, whatever it is. If people are going to ignore me, I don't care. I'm going to dick slap you for it, because I'm not going to lose my job.
Dude, Kalkin is by far the best. Like, I was telling, because we always like to have guests that like will go out there and just say shit, like they won't be so political. Kalkin, like, you got a pretty short fuse, and then you just start throwing some of the funniest stuff out there. So I'm actually pretty happy that you're talking about dick slapping, DDoSers, and all that shit. It's like, yeah, let's do it. All right, so then So I guess we kind of combined both open finals. Also was a disaster. You guys don't. I mean, you have a sort of like a creative plan, but in the future,
it takes time to implement anything in ESEA. So the best solution would be, hey, whoever's out there, stop DDoSing us. But I don't see that happening going forward.
I mean,
well, you're gonna feed into
the trollage.
You don't give the person attention because they want attention.
Of course,
that's the reality of it, and it sucks. It really does suck. And whoever it is, I'm sorry. That's it. That's all you say. I'm sorry. And
I have not been DDoS before too. I don't know.
I mean, on top of that, like, we're not, obviously me and Carson aren't the specialists when it comes to DDoS and prevention like that. There's people inside ESEA that are paid to deal with this stuff. So I'm sure, with the knowledge of what happened in the past couple of weeks, they're going to be working on some new solution.
They'll put down the Bitcoin project for a little bit to work on. Okay.
Still never saw those.
I don't actually. I've completely forgot about that until just right in that moment where I thought of saying that for some reason. Ruwin, before I think it's like pretty good time to go into the actual thread and pull out some of the good questions. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about. I don't want to step on your toes.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about, just to kind of make it clear for people, for everyone, I guess, what exactly is the process? Yes, we're going to get into that, but we're saving the best for last, okay? What exactly is the process involved in choosing what items stay in the game? And then we'll talk about maps after. So when you guys, when a weapon's changed, or when you have a new season, what is the process? How do you decide?
Yeah, so I think it wasn't actually always like this. That's most people don't remember this because you have to be an old player like cbear and Sven to remember this. But back in I think I started doing the invite player weapon bans back in season 8 or season 9. I can't remember which. And it worked out really well, so that's why I've continued to do it until today, obviously, and we'll continue on. I'm actually going to release the weapon bans. I believe I have all the captain's weapon ban sheets, so I'm going to release that probably sometime tonight once I do all the Excel magic. So, I mean, obviously, I think it's kind of tough to tell because once a weapon is, first off, when a new weapon is released, it's automatically banned until the next season. So everything is obviously, the question is mostly towards weapons that are updated, whether they be, buffed or nerfed doesn't really matter because if it's nerfed, it's not a really big deal. So when a weapon's updated, you kind of have to decide if it's too strong for the game or not strong enough, or should I ban it? So it's kind of really tough to say. And at the time that Quick Fix was released, there wasn't really that many complaints, actually. If you go back to TFTV and look through the threads, I think people were complaining about other weapons that were actually released instead of the Quick Fix. I was debating not allowing the Quick Fix just due to the glitch that was back then that your medic, you can Quick Fix and then switch to another class and have permanent overbuff. But I decided if I see you do that, you're going to get banned and round reversed, and decided to let it go. And then it was played through on a couple maps, or maybe it was Gully Wash, and then when you came to Viaduct, obviously where Quick Fix is strongest pretty much because of the King of Hell format, then the complaints started to flood in. But I really felt we needed, not so much we needed to change the meta, but I really wanted to give Quick Fix a chance. And I believe everything was kind of blown out of proportion just because of how Viaduct was, how big of a deal it was on Viaduct. So I let it go, and then obviously you can't ban it right as after a map into LAN. So I let it go through, and then after LAN, I had spoken to many invite teams online. I mean, I'm guessing we're just going to go into Quick Fix because that's what you guys are going to eventually ask me about. So speaking to most of the teams, obviously only Mix-Up didn't want it banned, but I didn't really take much of that into account. So at the end, I kind of got home and I had to deal with it pretty much immediately. I couldn't deal with all this raging on the forum. I kind of wanted to just get it over with. And I decided that for the next season, it wasn't really worth having it in. And that obviously, as we've always had these the weapon ban sheets from the invite team, kind of had to declare a martial law and just have it banned. And there's kind of a few reasons for that. First one, which was one of the bigger ones for me, is that just as we're going into Europe, Europeans are not used to the spam list. They hate pretty much playing with anything that's new, that's not vanilla. I mean, as far as I understand, I have a very small little understanding about what goes on in Europe, but I've kind of learned and picked up those kinds of things. So having the Quick Fix unbanned while going to Europe would be really, really bad. I mean, it would discourage a lot of teams from registering. So there was that. And then there was a second one, which was what kind of meta the Quick Fix would create. What would be the result of Quick Fix being in the game for more than 3 months where it eventually gets figured out? Because, TF2 is not that high on the level of strategy. Weapons eventually get figured out. And so there was kind of a few scenarios. And obviously I was at LAN, so there was lots of potential solutions that were proposed by the different teams. You had Clockwork sniping on Gully Wash 24/7, which was very entertaining to watch because you just go every time you die, or just jump out of his seat every time you got a kill. It was kind of weird. And then there was Tryhards versus Mix-Up on Badlands, where Mix-Up pretty much ran exclusively crits, and that worked very well as well. So obviously there was a lot more than just heavy, which is pretty much what everyone was so bitchy about, which was the big problem.
All right. Well, hold on. I don't want to interrupt.
Okay, yeah. If you have any questions.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you while you were... I mean, I sense a bit of... I don't want to say hypocrisy because I don't want to go too hard on killing because I know it's tough. But
no, go for it.
What's the point of having the invite ban list polling if you can put in the martial law effect and just say, you know what, fuck it, I don't want to play with this sucks, I'm going to take this out. I mean, okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. Back when us old timers played, well, Ruwin's still the best, but back when I played, when new weapons were released, it just weren't legal until after. Quick Fix was changed, along with a bunch of other weapons. Some were allowed, some weren't. Is there like an official policy when a new weapon comes out, or is it just come to you? And if that's the case, why can't there be an invite meeting for all the new shit
updated
too?
weapons are? I mean, I believe all the updated weapons were allowed. I don't think I banned any of them. I might be wrong, but I really can't remember it. All the the ones that were buffed to be too strong were already banned. And when it comes to that, yeah, it was pretty much come down to my decision. Like, I think teams would have been, to begin with, either the quick fix would have been instantly banned, which I don't think would have happened. I think teams would have allowed the quick fix for that season just because no one really knew the repercussions of the quick fix up until a few weeks in. I don't think anybody knew what the quick fix would become.
Shouldn't have been banned then if you didn't know what the repercussions were going to be. It just seemed like you guys have always, or ESEA has always kind of sat on the side of cautious, or being cautious when it comes to a new weapon that might not be figured out yet. I guess the real question is, for the people who've wondered in result of all this bullshit of weapons being banned, unbanned, and blah blah blah, is there some kind of process that happens when something is changed in the game, item is changed, something new is released mid-season, or does it just fall on you and Kalkin to kind of put your heads together and figure out whether or not it should be legalized? Because that's sort of what the quick fix felt like, and I think that's what people have a problem with.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And going forward in this season, I'm going to try and figure out a better way, whether it just being I'll probably end up just doing an invite ban sheet on all the updated weapons just to kind of get it out there. But regardless, even if invite was they did ban it, they did allow it, and then it would have come to me to make this decision, because you know what, I'm not really sure actually for invite ban sheets. I took quick fix out. Quick fix isn't even getting voted on. It's banned.
Really?
Yeah, it's banned. There's kind of a variety of reasons, and I was getting to. So as you saw, invite teams kind of had a bunch of ideas of how to deal with it, and quick fix wasn't completely figured out. And I'm not banning it for life, just for the next kind of season, and then we're kind of gonna revisit it after that, just so I can get Europe on the way. And the thing is, you have to kind of think how it's going to affect the game, but just not only in invite, outside of invite. So let's take open. You think there's snipers good enough in open to be able to deal with the quick fix 24/7? I'm not so sure.
Are there soldiers good enough to really exploit? I think they're still.
Do they have the demos that are that have good enough at crits? When I saw some open playoffs, I don't think those crits would be good enough to deal with the quick fix. And so I kind of agree with what Enigma made his post, that it was kind of just a scapegoat for TF2 being a pretty stalemated game due to the heavy class. And I would love to ban the heavy class, but I leave that up to inviters as well. So I didn't really want to keep it there because I feel like it might just make open. It would just encourage heavy too much in open. And for now, I just felt like it wasn't the right time. But definitely in future seasons, it's going to be revisited.
Can I let you breathe for a second?
Go for it.
I don't know how I feel about that philosophy of thinking about it, how would open deal with it, because that idea doesn't really exist in any other competitive game. Well, the top can't deal with it, so fuck, people who are worse can't deal with it. Well, the way I see it, give it to them, let them try to get better with it, and it won't be as refined as it will be at the top, but they'll see the top play with it and so forth and so on. But it's just that in CS you don't say, well, you don't in open you don't get to use the op. You don't get to use the op because it's hard.
StarCraft 2, one of the most balanced games out there, they always say that they try to balance the game throughout the entire skill tiers, not just at the highest level. That's actually one of the things that they talk about the most.
So why don't you guys ask all the team captains for their input, not just input?
That's a great point, but I don't think that I can rely so much on open captains rather than people that have played the game over and over. And I feel like quick fix has been one of the only weapons that affects the game in that way, that a solution might have been found that might have been too hard for open teams to execute.
Here's the deal, and we can put the nail in the coffin, so to speak, with quick fix in a second, because I want to put it to bed. So
eulogize it. No,
I'm
you should.
tired.
I'm
Here's the deal. Quick fix was magnified in its shit, in the world of shit that was created for it in that one cast, or in the matter of a couple casts. And I'm not blaming any two people who casted it in particular.
Wow, fucking Slin.
But but
Wait.
but they didn't help, and it wasn't entirely their fault. It's everyone's fault who just jumped on the bandwagon, and it's it's my fault too. It's everyone's fault. It's everyone's fault. Everyone let this happen, and that's okay. Everyone complained to Killing because I talked to Killing, and he made an argument for the ban to me in Steam chat that made sense. Even though I'm a proponent of the quick fix, I was like, no, that makes sense. He was like, he told me everyone's complaining to they want it banned. Even the invite team said they wanted it banned after LAN. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty unanimous. And I'm like, well, I seem like the only one who's like, well, people haven't figured out how to play against it really yet. We haven't had that strategy to really counter it. It hasn't been in the game long enough, but it was keep it in the game, and people continue to cry and bitch and moan until it was removed, or just remove it, and then people are happy, and then 5 people are like, well, what? We didn't try it enough, so it was. Yeah, it was the smarter decision, honestly. I mean, I'm not entirely happy about it. I understand why people didn't like it at a lower level, because they go, well, it's harder to get kills and it makes the game less fun because the medic can run away and it's not as satisfying as the positioning and beep, boop, boop. And it's like, none of that matters. We haven't figured out how to play with it yet. The medic's running away with the scout because he's fast when you felt like you should have killed the medic. Well, play differently and kill the medic. Hit your shots or learn how to rocket jump faster and you'll catch the medic. Don't complain about little things about it. I think it's good. I think the quick fix is good. It's really good. But
yeah, I mean,
I
I think that's probably a good. We've talked about the quick fix so much in the last 2 months since it was released and all that stuff. And I don't care so much about the item itself, what value it adds. My opinion, as far as that goes, not nearly as valuable as Ruwin, because he plays against it. Obviously knows way more about it. And from my point of view, I don't think it made the game that much more fun. I was wrong at first. I thought it was like, oh, this would be so much fun, quick fix, yeah. But then Slin and Blank ruined everything, though.
Fucking Slin.
Fucking Slin! No,
guy is a sneaky motherfucker.
What was I gonna say? But the process itself of how weapons are banned and not banned and all that stuff, it just seemed like it was handled poorly. You guys do great. I've always been a supporter of you guys and the ESEA admins. I think you guys do a good job overall. But kind of the gut decision to keep it legal and then just fuck it, we're gonna ban it, and now saying, well, we're not gonna let anyone. I feel like there should just be a process for every item that goes through every season. Can maybe by now somebody wants to play against the Liberty launcher because they're crazy and
Yeah,
why not?
I agree to that. I think.
So I don't know, but.
I think it was Battalion's backup or something back in
Oh
season,
God,
whatever.
Yeah,
right.
I did that.
That was you guys. Yeah,
That was me, baby.
No, you weren't on staff yet.
No, that was
I was
his
the reason
team.
it was banned.
Yeah. His team.
Yeah. I mean, I have to make the decision that I feel best. There's no way I can possibly read the forums. It's always silent majority rules, so there's no way of knowing what the hell's going to go on. I had a shitstorm coming either way, going for quick fix, banning it or not. But I think banning the Battalion's backup was a good idea back then, and I think everyone would agree. So I kind of have to just do what feels best. And
I just feel like for transparency's sake, so you avoid the people wondering, and just say there is a process for every item. This is what everything goes through.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think besides those 2 items, I've never broken process. It's always been the exact same. And just now, I think in the past when weapons were updated, it was never game breaking or game changing, so it was kind of just left as is. But now, if Valve's going to really start looking at their weapons, I definitely think that's a thing I'm going to be looking at.
Okay.
In Killing's defense, though, this is the first time that they've actually really done a full updating a bunch of items, trying to improve them. And I mean, yeah, they've added items, and he said that they all get banned as soon as they're added. That's for new items, but there hasn't been a situation where they actually reworked, not tweaked, not changed 10% something, but actually fully changed. It's an entirely different weapon. So I think it's a learning experience for them. From now on, it will probably be the same process as new items, because it's basically a new item.
Yeah, it's good.
It is a learning experience. We're not perfect. We've had to make judgment calls in the past. I remember the Pyro Vision goggles was a huge judgment call. People were so bad when I banned that. Because it was something that didn't even apply, but people were banned because I said, okay, this is new, and it's very possible that you might be able to see through walls. Turns out you could. So like there's judgment calls that sometimes we just have to make. So that happens. Ruin, I actually want to touch on something that you said earlier that is a little unrelated to quick fix, but you were talking about how you need to have time for the meta to adapt, and maybe we didn't give it enough time. I think you're actually right, and in that case, I actually think that if we look through our weapon ban list, about half of those weapons don't need to be banned.
I think
I actually think that our weapon bans are too strict.
Whoa! Before we get here,
I'm just throwing it out there.
Carson,
matter of
go home, Kalkin. You're drunk.
This is like the only thing that me and Kalkin have like completely.
We have
different.
a fundamental disagreement on this.
Kalkin like wants to unban the like gloves of running urgently or swift.
Oh,
and I'm
I want to unban a lot.
Okay,
of
that is minority status. No one. I think the chat will explode with anger.
Something that I've been wanting to do for a while is I've actually been really curious about maybe running an article series on TFTV where we poll the public on every single banned item and have an article discussing them. Because I honestly think that about half of our weapons could be unbanned and it would have no negative impact to the game. And it would only improve the game because then there would be more options. So I do think that as a community, we do need to have a really serious conversation about our bans. Because at the moment, just looking through a lot of these weapons, a lot of them have been changed. A lot of the weapons have been changed. A lot of them have been tweaked, and we've never really reevaluated them.
I agree.
I'm sure the invite teams do.
No, they don't.
They don't.
No, they don't.
I think,
Speaking as a former invite team captain, we do not play and screw around with those kind of weapons
that's why it's not one team.
Unless we're like in pubs, but that's not a comp experience. That's not a comp thing.
I think. I mean, we can go on to our specific feelings on that. I think GRU is one of the very specific items that I don't really.
It would probably still be banned, but I think the discussion needs to happen.
Yeah, and I'm okay with discussing all of that, all of the weapons, all of the weapons that have been banned so far. I'm usually for more options, and I want the game to be as much of a spectacle as possible for everyone. And that if that means adding things that aren't really super fun to play with as a player, but really fun to watch.
Gunslinger is the example of that. I think Gunslinger was banned because people were annoyed with it, but it was. I think it was a perfectly fine weapon.
I think the Gunslinger is fine.
People were annoyed by the weapon, but I don't think it was imbalanced.
Oh God. Yeah. All right. Carson hasn't played since season whatever. Okay. Next question.
Okay. Whatever. You can judge me like that, but I'm saying as a league and as a community, we should have a more serious conversation on this. I think Ruin's right.
I think.
I don't think Ruin said unblind the Gunslinger.
I mean in general.
I think there's a lot of truth in what he's saying about reevaluating. But then he picked like the 2 worst items to pick out. Like there's plenty of stuff that could be unbanned and like to look at it. And I think wouldn't change the meta nearly at all. But like if you say let's unban the GRU and the whip and then the Gunslinger, the 3 most despised because everything those first 2 that makes heavy like you run it all the time because it's fucking amazing. Probably not going to get too far with the more heavy thing, especially.
Well, I'm not one to shy away from controversy, but
I think it's a good idea. You can fit writing those articles in your already.
Go for it. More power to you, Carson.
I will do that.
Minis are not fun ever.
Nope.
Ever, never.
Nobody likes mini sentries.
Never.
I thought didn't they change them at some point? Like recently, were they? No.
I thought that was the Gunslinger that they changed, or no, not the Gunslinger, the Wrangler rather. Something to the Wrangler.
Oh well, let's legalize that too. So
legalize. Legalize it.
420. All right, so that was fun. Kalkin, you're the best. Can we do a kind of breeze through? I say we go a little bit later if you guys are cool with it, because we do. I don't. It's
I
like
got nothing better to do.
I've posted.
I'm done for now. So I mean, if I can piss off more people on this cast, let's do it.
Well, at least a lot of these questions.
Trying to get to my level of pissed off people.
We don't need to go into too much detail. I mean, are we good moving on from what we just talked about, Ruin? I don't want to.
Yeah, I think we got a good amount of information on that.
Okay, so we are in the actual Team Fortress TV thread of this. Just kind of go through. We don't have to go expound too much on things, but give your gut opinions, I guess, because people want to know. All right, so I guess we kind of talked about it in the very beginning, like where you would put these teams. Do you guys have a problem with really good teams kind of off-classing or sandbagging the lower divisions? Holy shit! Did I get?
Yeah, you're getting DDoS. No.
Am I all right? Are we good? Is the call still okay?
I don't know. You're kind of fuzzy, but
Okay.
Yeah, it's getting fuzzy for me. I wasn't sure if it was me or you, but I think we're fine.
Okay.
I hear.
Did you hear the
I hear
question?
you.
Sorry.
I didn't hear the question.
Say
I
it
repeat
again.
it.
Say it one more
Shit.
time.
Okay. Sorry. What is your opinion on invite off-class teams in open? So
Okay.
stealthy.
It's unfortunate, but it's kind of like a casualty of the rule. If I believe it's like an invite team, like just trying to scumbag it in open, and they're actually like a top invite team, and they should be an invite, like I won't let them play an invite. But otherwise, it's kind of out of our hands. There's nothing we can really do about it. If there's an opportunity for them to play in a division other than open, like there's a couple teams in invite that have the chance to get moved down to main rather than start over in open, like you should go play main or else kind of thing. So yeah.
Okay. Kalkin, anything to add to that? You're the
The
one
invite
who's...
teams. I mean, I was on an invite team that off class once, and it's like, let's get real. Like, I played soldier, we were shit. If you're playing a different class and you're off classing, they're probably not going to be really that bad. I don't have a problem with it. I don't think we should force them to necessarily play intermediate or anything else like that. If they're going in and you have a team that's like Enigma on Scout, like Ruwin on Scout, Harble on Soldier. Yeah, okay, we're probably going to force them to play Invite. But otherwise, judgment calls, it's not that big of a deal. It's not a problem.
Okay. Do we know, Luna's side wants to know, do we know what rosters are being moved up to main? I feel like that's...
That'll give you inside track information of
Oh.
what main will be. Get your shit ready. All
I'll
right.
put my mitts on.
Here it
It's
comes.
gonna get hot.
Right now for main, obviously, like everything's subject to change because I want to say that just in case I do change it, so no one complains. But right now, I'm planning on top 4 from open, the remaining playoff teams that don't get into invite from IM, and then 2 to 3 invite teams that are going to be off classing. That will make up main.
Top 4 open teams. Wow, okay.
Yep.
Bypassing intermediate, going straight to...
Well, intermediate will be the new like mid-high open, pretty much.
Okay.
So
Hopefully. As long as they don't die.
Okay, makes sense.
And that is going to
Should
take take some effort on the community's part. If we're going to make main successful, seriously, teams need to stop dying because we've had this chronic problem that I've tried to address every single season, where teams will get to intermediate, they'll play a full season, and then they'll die, and we'll end up with an intermediate that starts with like 20 teams, ends with 10. And so if that needs to really stop happening if we're going to make sure that main's going to succeed.
All right, I got a message from Banny, who is messaging me on behalf of RR, who wants to ask a question. I'm pretty sure we covered this already, but just in case, I don't know, there's a different opinion on it. RR wants to know, what is ESEA going to do if there aren't enough teams, enough invite teams? Almost 70% of invite from last season either quit or are now playing an open IM main. Are teams going to be moved up regardless? Question mark. Or are all the teams in the poll being moved up? I think we talked about this.
Yeah.
Seems
we
like that's...
we already talked about this. I'd like to ask a question to RR. Why were you too bad to beat Ease Origin on Nightmare difficulty?
I don't know what that means, but
Probably not the answer he was looking for, but okay. So,
pretty much, there's always going to be enough teams for invite. So,
but you're not concerned about it, I guess.
I'm never concerned.
Okay. I'm looking through. I should have pulled these out, but as many people can attest, there's very little planning work that goes into these, as far as like the actual route we take in a show. But Ruin, is there any of these in here that you can pick out that are?
well, I think we've pretty much covered everything. Like all the topics that we were going to talk about anyway. Bans. Oh, maps. We can talk about maps, and then we can.
Okay, let's talk about maps. I'll pull out some more of the good questions here.
Wait, what are we talking about?
Well, we just want to talk about, is it the same exact process? I mean, you just vote for it, it's just a vote, and that's it? Or
I believe I specified it, didn't I? I mean, I always
just
do the...
For people who didn't read the forums or didn't...
Oh, yeah, it's going to be the newest, whatever the Valve one is. And then I got the newest one of Viaduct, it's RC4. And then the newest one of Metalworks, RC5, I believe. And I'm looking into the Snakewater _G7. I don't know what your opinions are on it, but I kind of have to look at it real quick.
I would need to take a look at it, but I understand that they addressed a lot of things in it, and it may be less stalematey, more fun. And I'm all for the changes that they can make to maps to make them faster, more fun. I think that's what that's there for. Yeah, I know we put coal plant in for G-Pit. Whoa, what was that? What just happened right there?
That was my phone making a noise.
Oh, I thought you said ugh, like you.
Oh
just-
no,
He's a
I
popular guy.
read because I fucking love G-Pit.
Me too, man.
I miss G-Pit too. I think that people were just
All the
whining
old school
because they didn't
players
wanna
miss
work-
G-Pit.
They didn't want to. Like,
I don't
people
play,
don't like the
so
genre shift.
But
G-Pit was a
I'll
good
be
time.
honest. Look. This is what I said on the forums, and I got like flamed by some guy like Mustard or something. And I was like, look, everyone's doing the same thing with the quick fix that they're doing about G-Pit. One person was like, I don't really like G-Pit that much, and then they were like, oh, I don't like G-Pit.
it's fun.
And all the
100% agree.
this is too different. And then I'm like, okay, look, here's the deal. Koth is already really, really good for viewership because it forces people to fight, and there's always action.
Yeah.
It's really great for spectators. It's really fun. And if it's a role, it's a role. It doesn't matter what map you're playing on. G-Pit, it's even more boring because the action is way more spread out than it is on Viaducts. So, and anytime someone says like, well, I don't want new maps because then what about if the new teams only beat us with DM and not teamwork because they've been together for a while? And it's like, but then you're not the better team.
Right.
So, no. So yeah, and I kind of wanted to get. Oh yeah, and I said something about Gully Wash. Some people were like, I want Gully Wash removed. I'm like, look, I'm down to replace Gully Wash with another CP or whatever, just because of the last, which is a little difficult to push even when you have Uber and they don't. It's mainly the last. You can't really see where people are coming from, and it's like choky even inside. There's really, I don't know why the last is so bad. They just need to change it a little bit, and then I think it'll be perfect. But what's the chances of that happening? So I said, let's replace it with something else.
I'm pretty sure actually. If you look at the stats, Gully Wash actually has the closest games. So I love watching Gully Wash. I think it's a good map, personally.
Yeah, I the middle and the second, I don't really. Well,
yeah, I like how
actually
it's also like it's not linear, so it kind of like provides for more interesting play. I don't know.
Yeah, we talked about the only having two entrances, the big door and the choke entrance, which there are three on like every other map for every single area. So it's just, if there was another that might fix the second holds, like one that goes up top or something
That's
like
what I
that.
was thinking too. Yeah, like a weird tunnel, like a roamer tunnel that you can
Yeah,
like, open.
Yeah, exactly. Just that one other point of entry and one other place to put stickies, so it's not just like one demo holds one choke and then one of the two soldier over there, and it's not fun. So, but I like Gully Wash, so leave it in whatevs. So the process is what? Did you say?
It's the Valve one.
The Valve. No, not
Yes,
what is the process? Not the map process.
Oh, okay. Sorry. The map. What's the map process?
Like how does it?
Okay. So I go make a post on TFTV and I'm like, hey guys, what maps do you want to see? And then they post the maps and I'm like, okay, these look good. And then I put them in the poll and you guys vote for them. That's the end of the process.
So how come that's so much different than the weapon ban process?
Because weapon ban is distinct to TF2, right? So map poll has always been like an ESEA thing, right? Because you have that for CS:GO as well, so that's why.
Makes sense. When is that invite poll happening? People are messaging me.
The invite poll, like the news poll. Soon. I don't know. I send off the email, and then whenever they put it up, they put it up.
So you sent it off? It's already.
No, I have not sent it off.
Okay, well then.
Do it.
Killing.
Well, I mean,
please.
He'll ask for it, and then I'll be like, "Here you go."
Okay. All right. We'll take the initiative, maybe. Okay. So that's good, except for the part where you post on the forums, and then you get hive mind. Then you put the wrong maps in the poll. And that's okay.
I think Hive Mind is mostly towards. I mean, it used to be like for the newer maps. I think Hive Mind more so affects like what map gets chosen like as winner of that poll, rather than what maps get included in the poll. There's like never more than 3-4 maps to include in the poll, anyways.
Okay.
All right.
I've been looking through this thread, and a lot of what was asked we already sort of covered in one way or the other. So if you ask something and you're going to be pissed off that I didn't ask it, I've read through pretty much all of them. And I'm not going to ask Kalkin about his favorite anime or something because, he gives a shit.
But my favorite beer, Stone Smoked Porter. Okay, I just throw it out there.
There you go. I mean, I said we could go longer, but at this point, I think we've sort of wrapped everything up. But I want to make sure I think the purpose of having Killing and Kalkin on was for them to give a pitch for ESEA. So,
oh shit! I
know we kind of slipped through this. So, I guess this would kind of be like a shout out for you guys.
Yes.
If you want to give us your pitch, so pretend like Ruwin, like we're the open level players. Well, I probably am, but
stop.
Ooh.
convince me to play in your league this season.
All right. First off, you have 5 days, 3 hours, 58 minutes,
Until it
41
gets
seconds
extended, so.
40.
to make the
49.
best decision of your life, obviously, which is sign up for ESEA. Just to give a little story of myself, how I kind of got into ESEA. I played Season 3, which was the second season of TF2. We continued to go. It wasn't 0-16, but we had no wins. Like, they were all forfeit wins. Every win we had was a forfeit win. And then the next season, obviously, what happened in that season is that, we got smashed over and over and over again. But we got smashed against great teams that knew how to play the game. And that's really where we learned. We were playing like CEVO, and we were kind of high up in CEVO. And then there was TWL, but we weren't really learning much there. So ESEA, we learned so much. We came back the next season, Season 4. We got into, like, open playoffs and, like, a couple rounds in, which, back then there was no intermediate. So getting to open playoffs when it was only 8 teams was a pretty big deal because you're pretty close to invite. So, I mean, go for it. It's like a McDonald's a month. Go for it. You're going to have a great time, I promise.
Kalkin, do you have anything to add to his? That's pretty good. I might get like a 6 out of 10 right now. I don't know.
I thought we were going to be open players.
Well,
my question for you...
Players, they voice their concern, and then I kind of like, no! And then I just go from there.
Well, my question for you as an potential open player, Killing, is why would I pay for your league when I can do UGC for frees as well as CEVO?
So let's do some role play here, Ruwin. So you're an open player, and you're sitting there, and you're like, okay, you want to play in UGC because why would you want to pay to play video games? I mean, come on. But let's get real here. Where the good teams are is not UGC. Where you're going to learn is not UGC. The good teams are an open. If you want to learn how to play this game, if you want to get good, if you want to get anywhere, you're going to play against the good teams. Anybody who takes this game seriously plays in ESEA. They scrim 4 or 5 nights a week, and they don't. Nobody who is going to really commit to getting good at this game is going to say, okay, we're going to play in UGC, and that's all we're going to do. Those teams don't tend to move up. That's just how it is. I played in CWL and STA way back when, and we never really improved until we moved into ESEA. Not that I want to entirely bash UGC, but I do. So that's what it is.
Listen, last time we had you guys on here, I got messaged directly after the show by, what's that dude's name? Infinite? Who called me a bad journalist because I got my phone because of
tears were shed that day. Definitely, tears were shed.
Whatever. Okay, so I want to do some role playing too then. So okay, well, I don't want to play against the Bud squad. They're gonna kick my team's ass. Why would I waste money playing against like all these really good teams? Like, what's the point?
Well, I don't know. Do you want to address that one, Killing, or?
Okay, sure. Well, first off, like, if you're really not at that level, you probably won't even face them because open is worked on a way like of record versus record. So pretty much what that means is that you're not scheduled the entire season to begin with. You're scheduled week by week. So if you're let's say 4-4, week 4 in, obviously. And Bud Squad is 8-0. You won't be playing them. You're gonna be playing other 4-4 teams. So we're gonna make sure that by that system, you're gonna be getting the best matches possible for your skill level.
That is pretty much true. If you're a new open team and you're worried about getting slammed, well, it's very possible. You might lose your first 4 matches terribly. You might get 5-0'd in 5 minutes. You'll feel bad. But I do an open captains meeting at the beginning of every season, and I talk to every single new open team, and I make sure that they know that, hey, you're going to get slammed. You're going to get completely destroyed if you get a match against a good team. But that's not going to be your experience for the entire season. The first month of ESEA can be totally brutal. It can be a really good learning experience. And then after that, if you go 0-4, that's fine. Because after that, you're going to get matched up against other teams that also went 0-4. And it's really, really likely those teams are of a similar skill level to you.
You should. I know your internet sucks. But you should stream that. I want to hear the Kalkin like William Wallace speech. Like they may 5-0 you. But you'll be better. Come on.
Honestly, somebody has recorded that every time, I think, actually.
All right.
There's actually a Cliff Notes version of my open captains meeting on a pastebin somewhere.
Honestly, I like the way that you dealt with that. The question that I asked you, or that cbear asked you. I agree with that. If you want to get better faster, play in ESEA. That's the reality. And UGC is good. I play in UGC. I play Highlander in UGC, and I have no qualms with
Because
the
ESEA
league.
has no Highlander. That's the only reason.
No,
Right?
UGC Highlander is by all means, that's a good league to play in. I wouldn't bash them for their Highlander league. But
I wouldn't bash them for
sixes-
anything. I appreciate the fact
for
that
sixes, we're sort of competing over that population.
yeah, well, that's, I was actually just browsing UGC 6's rosters, and I saw that the roster that won in season 11, which was the last real season, had top IM and the rest were invite players.
True.
So, and they went undefeated. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know. They're probably just doing it on the side. They probably don't care too much, and it's whatever. But I agree. If you want to play this game, you want to get better, and you want to feel good about improving at your hobby. Because I'm assuming if you're here, you're watching this, you're playing TF2, that it is your hobby and it is something you enjoy doing. You have to enjoy the process. You have to enjoy the process of getting better. Because if you don't, then you're not enjoying the game. And why are you playing?
That's true. I seriously, I mean, I think there's some bad blood between UGC and these two, which is fine. Like, I mean, I don't care. But all joking aside, UGC 6s is awesome. I got into TF2. I think a lot of people the same way, just like barely competitive, like kind of snowballing into more and more competitive. Back with TWL, which doesn't exist, which was pretty much the same thing as UGC, and I think it's awesome. I want to say though, before we cut it, that it's really, I think this. For the European teams watching, I'm sure there's some of you watch the VOD if you're, it's up pretty late for you guys. You have a chance this season to play against like the best teams in Europe, and you probably don't really get a chance to do that ever. Like you're guaranteed to get raffle stomped by the top teams unless something magical happens. But take the opportunity to test yourselves against like the absolute best. Not saying that like, oh, I just played against Broder, I'm the best ever now, like I'm gonna go win I-52 or whatever. That's not gonna be the case, obviously, but you can get a taste of what it's like to play against the best. And like I said, it's really rare to be able to do that. There's really no way for like a high open team to play an invite team, even in a scrim, like unless somehow they get really lucky one night and no one's looking for a scrim and it's like versus high open team, let's just do it. But
they just won't scrim.
They just won't scrim. So take the opportunity and like I've always said, ESEA, and other than Team Fortress TV, ESEA TF2 is kind of what keeps us going. So if you're on the fence about supporting it, it's not that much money. I love playing in ESEA. I mean, it has problems, leaks, but I feel like it's worth your time. Why did I talk so much? No one knows. Okay, so why don't we cut it unless there's anything else we want to talk about?
No, we can say our goodbyes, our farewells.
Okay.
Your hats, of course.
Oh, that's right. We're doing hats. And, the first hat giveaway for today, before I get to the shout-outs, Mr. Killing has a trivia question, and he thinks that it'll be fun to... so the first hat will actually...
Everyone loves trivia. What the hell?
This should be tough, because we'll just be the first person to answer the trivia question, and it's going to be like chat going like this.
Answered. You should do slow mode, so only you can get one guess every 60 seconds.
That's not going to happen. But that is going to happen, then the rest will be raffled out as usual. So let's do shout-outs. Let's start with the William Wallace of TF2.
Oh,
Kalkin.
The William Wallace of TF2. Oh,
Yes.
I guess that's me. So shout out to my buddy Killing. He's the best partner ever. Without my bad cop, I couldn't be the good cop. Although on this stream, I don't think I seem like I'm the good cop. But shout out to the Invite Illuminati. We don't exist. We don't have secret meetings, and we aren't meeting in NorCal in a month.
Sounds like something the Invite Illuminati would say.
And really, the shout out to the community. I could shout out a bunch of individual people, but the only reason I'm still here working this job is because I love you. I love this community. I love the people in it, and I'm going to continue working this job, even though I totally don't need the income because it's what I love to do. And the community keeps me here, and I really love you guys. You guys are awesome. Stay awesome. You're so much better than League of Legends or CS or something like that. Hopefully, we don't degenerate into like this horrible blob of DDoSing immature idiots, but otherwise, you guys are awesome. I love you.
I like that. Killing, go ahead.
obviously, shout out to Carson, the best. He wanted to send me some sort of body pillow, but I said no. Shout out to everyone who asked quick fix questions. Thank you for your quick fix questions. I very much appreciate them. Shout out to Lore's Merry Men, everybody that was in it, Green, Lore, Ghost, whatever. And most of all, shout out to Brad. I miss you, and I hope you'll come back. Okay.
Okay. Ruin. Anything else?
Of course, yeah. Shout outs to my boy, cbear, my homie, my partner in crime, Killing and Kalkin. Thank you for joining us today from ESEA. We appreciate you, the people watching, and of course, Truck, my boy,
Oh, yeah.
cameraman extraordinaire, behind the scenes. Thank you so much. And I think it's your turn.
Yeah, I mean, I always forget to say the following. I'll go with Whisker Biscuit first because he's actually Memphis Vaughn made like the first 32 of these splash screens, like the actual what you see on the stream. But since then, Whisker Biscuit has made them, and I usually ask him like minutes before. I'm like, dude, I need this. Like, because like I said, we are very unorganized here at Fully Charged. So big thanks to him. Saving my ass countless times with that. He's the best. And then Truck. Jesus Christ, Kalkin. I don't know if that made the stream. Truck is awesome. I mean, like, I think like 99 of the last 100 events he's done the camera work for TFTV, at least in North America. So, like, we literally can't thank him enough for what he does. It's awesome, and we'll forgive him for sandbagging open. Anyway, okay, so we're going to do trivia. Hats time. We'll give away 2, and then we'll do 1 trivia question. I think we'll just do the trivia question first. So we'll cut the stream, we'll come right back, and then do hats.